Well, good afternoon there, folks. It's my birthday today. Hey! And what better way to spend my birthday than talking to you lovely people about Peter Mandelson and Starmer and all of that good fun. I'm trying to think when I've last spoken to you about most things going on. Had we even spoken about Andy Burnham? The whole by-election arising and Andy Burnham trying to become a candidate and the Labour NEC going and then that obviously making Starmer look a little bit weak, but that might have actually saved Burnham in a way, because given the backlash over this Mandelson stuff and the fact that Labour wasn't doing too good to begin with, probably if Burnham had ran in that by-election, the spoiler effect of all that's going on now could well have not guaranteed that he would have won it anyway. Yes, it's an interesting time. That with the release of the Epstein files implicating all sorts of people, we have the obviously Mandelson, the ambassador to the US that Starmer picked, having been caught up in it, having lost his job, more stuff having been revealed, and now it's coming as a backlash onto Starmer, and now Starmer is very much in trouble as a result of Mandelson. And yet old Donnie Trump, still in the White House, sitting pretty happy. His name's all over the Epstein files, but nothing too incriminating. Obviously, because Donald Trump hasn't done anything wrong necessarily. It's definitely not because the Department of Justice or Trump's goons in whatever positions might be trying to hide a few things. I can't say that for sure. I don't know. How could I possibly know? I don't know. But we can speculate. So the hot water Starmer finds himself in at the moment is the fact that everyone sort of turned around and gone, "Oh my God, Mandelson! What a terrible person! What a complete moral vacuum, cozying up to these international rich paedophiles and all the rest of it. Why did Starmer put him there in the first place? What did Starmer know?" And now, obviously, Starmer's had to reveal in the comments saying, "Well, yes, we did a report on his suitability for being the ambassador to the US, and yes, I was aware of the fact that he'd continued to be friends with Epstein after his initial conviction. But Mandelson lied to me. In this situation, me paraphrasing Starmer, we need to remember the victims. We get too caught up in the hullabaloo of politics and the to and fro, and we forget the victims of the situation. And obviously, some of those are the victims of sex trafficking, and some of those are victims like Keir Starmer. He was lied to. That nasty Mr. Deceiving Machiavellian Lord of Darkness, Prince of Darkness, Mandelson, lied to Starmer. And Starmer being a trusting, honest fellow, he took Mandelson at his word. There was no indication whatsoever that there could have been anything more untoward than was already present being untoward that they would have found out about. But obviously, besides just the association that Mandelson had with Epstein, which had already caused great embarrassment to the government, we now have the fact that Mandelson had basically been leaking sensitive information from back when he was in government yonder decade and a half ago to Epstein and to others, which is highly illegal. So that's a whole new layer of this scandal now. It's not just his association with a very, very, dodgy is an understatement of a word, isn't it? But it's not just this association with Epstein. It's now the fact that there appears to be evidence of proper wrongdoing in addition to that also. So what a mess. I feel like every time I come and talk to you, I'm saying, oh, how bad Labour's doing at the moment, how bad things are for Starmer right now. But surely this has got to be reaching, if Starmer's leadership was a nuclear reactor, then all the warning lights would be flashing on the panel at this point. Surely they need to cool down the rods. And I don't know enough about nuclear energy to continue that metaphor, but they need to cool down the rods, and the rods are currently not cool. Now, the question is whether or not this is going to be, the death knell for Starmer's premiership with all that's going on, especially now that, there's constant eyes on, well, what did you know about Mandelson and when? What did people tell you? All the rest of it. I heard a comparison that was made the other day when I was listening to a news podcast where the Starmer government is beginning to somewhat resemble the Johnson government. Now, I'm not saying that Starmer and Johnson are one-for-one comparisons with each other, but in the way that Johnson was, death by 1,000 cuts, scandal after scandal after scandal, undermining and undermining and undermining him, and in the end, it turned out, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a one last scandal that, in isolation probably would have been survivable, but because of all that had come before it, was finally enough to push people into getting rid of Johnson. Maybe we're reaching that point with Starmer now as well. It's not just all the policies that get announced and then don't get messaged very well and then get U-turned upon a great amount of time later. It's not just the other poor decision making or the drip, drip, drip of little scandals here and there, but this Mandelson thing is, it's like a tsunami wave where it's coming in multiple fronts. First of all, you had the initial appointment of him, which was causing some grumbles amongst MPs in the first place, but it was done. Then you had the embarrassing revelations about him and Epstein that weren't apparently already public knowledge, and then you've got he's got to step down. How embarrassing for the government. But now you've got this latest thing where it's gone to show, wow, Mandelson really was a wrong-un far more than we'd even thought. Not just being friends with an international paedophile, but undermining the British government and national interests as well. Ho-ho. So he's just being buffeted by it. Now, we've obviously got the by-election that's coming up later this month, the one in Manchester. I'm speculating Reform's going to win it off of Labour. I'd very much like to see the Greens win it off of Labour instead. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to end up being Reform. That's not going to be very good for Starmer. So at the moment, the speculation is just, are people? Is this the final moment where people are going to, finally rally around someone and start trying to force him and get him to go, or is it more the I'm gonna have to go for that metaphor I always like using. The old Looney Tunes cartoons where someone runs off the edge of a cliff, but they don't start falling until they turn around to the camera, put up a little sign that says "Yelp," look down, and then begin the plummet. I think we could well now be. Well, I think we very much are in the situation now where Starmer's feet have left the earth. He is now suspended in the air, and it is up to the Labour MPs to decide how many seconds we're waiting until he looks to the audience and goes, "Oh shit." So maybe it's in a few weeks. Maybe it's the by-election at the end of the month. Maybe he lasts all the way until the locals and the Scottish and the Welsh elections in the spring. But it very much does seem to me now that this has got real. It feels like later era Johnsonian. Batten down the hatches and deal with all the scandals kind of situation. So yeah, there we are. Here was us thinking we were going to get a quiet life with an adult in the room and nice boring politics, and it turns out we're still stuck with the same cycle of rather shit people in charge, even though we've changed which party it is. The Uni Party! I hear Reform supporters out there crying loudly. Oh, yes, of course. Well, that's the solution, isn't it? If we don't like these guys, obviously Farage. Obviously the Donald Trump simp. Yes. Let's take some comments, shall we? Apollo TD says, Starmer, let's think about the victims, mainly me. I'm the biggest Epstein of Mandelson. I'm the biggest Epstein. I'm the biggest victim of Epstein and Mandelson. He's let himself down. No, he's let me down. He's let the country down. Most of all, he's let himself down. Random Quotes says, Biden was never going to be Bernie. Captain Swiss with a nice super chat there. Thank you very much. Random Quotes. And Sky Echo 7 says, hiya Swiss, stuff is happening. Yes, stuff is indeed happening, guys. I feel as if I'm duty bound to just go have a quick little look at the news, whether there's been any further developments with things in the past day or so from when I'd last been looking at it yesterday, because with this sort of thing, you never know if it's all fast moving. Live, Mandelson messages to be handed over by ministers as Labour MPs call for clear out of PM's advisors. Oh, Morgan McSweeney, pack your bags. Theresa May, way back when, I think, was it in the wake of her losing the 2017 election that she called, that then her MPs pressured her to get rid of her advisors? Fiona Nick Timothy Fiona Hill. Maybe I've got the surnames the wrong way around. I don't know, but that was sort of a sign that power was beginning to ebb away slightly. That they were able to say to her, look, you've made some bad decisions here. Get rid of the people advising you. And indeed, it looks like people are now going to be gunning for Morgan McSweeney, which obviously makes me assume that Starmer is going to defend Morgan McSweeney to the hilt, absolutely to the last. That's the hill he's prepared to die on. He will spend days and days, possibly weeks, saying, no, Morgan McSweeney is an honourable, essential man who really needs to be at the heart of government. And then he will U-turn on it when it appears that he's got no choice but to. That's where we may well end up. I'll read a few more of these. Political opponents call for a no confidence vote in Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer has faced calls to resign by members of his own party over the Mandelson saga. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch has called on Labour MPs to speak to her team, adding she's ready to talk seriously about a vote of no confidence. Lib Dem leader Ed Davey also wants a vote. Reform Zia Youssef says Starmer's entire offering to the electorate was that he would not be corrupt and sleazy. And the Green Party leader, Zach Polanski, has said that the Mandelson rot goes to the heart of this Labour government. Now, Labour MPs, turkeys voting for Christmas, I'm not sure that they are going to want to vote no confidence in their own government, even if they don't have any confidence in Starmer, because that won't be a very good look for them. But at the same time, if that goes to a vote, then it becomes a little bit of a trap, because if they don't want to vote no confidence in their own government, it means that they have got to vote confidence in Keir Starmer, and him being so tarnished and under fire at the moment, it won't be a good look for the MPs in question going, yeah, I support Keir Starmer, even though pretty much everyone else in the country that goes, really? Okay. Sky Echo says it will be May. Sweeney should definitely go and keep going until he falls off the planet. Sir Keir Starmer, with a picture of Richard Tice, says happy birthday from everyone here in Reform UK PLC. How are you? Says Enticing. I'm good, thank you. I'm good. As I mentioned at the top, well, as it says in the title, it's my birthday today. I've been 21 for a record-breaking 11 years now. And I've managed to get the day off work for it as well, so that's quite nice. So I've had quite a chilled day so far, but I thought that having this time available to me and being in a somewhat jubilant mood, not to mention everything that's going on at the moment, I think this would be a good chance to come and say hello to you guys at the very least. So hello everybody. Do I want to talk about Donald Trump? I don't know. I mean, you guys have seen about like those people being killed by the ICE agents, and Trump talking about, oh, maybe we should try and get control of the elections for the midterms, and then there was the whole Greenland saga before that. And I feel like at any given time, I can make a big long list of all the terrible bad things that he's doing, and it's very energy draining, basically. You know what the rap is. You know that he's a bad man and probably the biggest threat to American democracy they've had in their 250 odd years. But there we are, we'll come back again in a week and see what other shit he's up to. Sky Echo says, happy birthday, Swiss. Thank you very much, Sky Echo. Enticing says, if Sir Keir gets sacked, expect a return of based Starmer. He'll have more free time to be on YouTube. Well, that's a plus at the very least, isn't it? Because Starmer has been very quiet on this channel ever since he became the Prime Minister. So it will be nice for him to be appearing in the chat again a little bit more. So if any of you didn't see my most recent video, that was a few of the preliminary winners of the Milky Awards for 2025, where just people had flat out won the categories even after the nomination stage. I've got the tallies of all of the other categories, and I'm committing to it, guys. I will be making the Google Forms form for you today to be able to vote on the winners of the Milkies for 2025, and I will stick up a little post or a message or maybe a video, or stick it in a link below this video once I've done it one way or another. But keep your eyes peeled. That should be available for you to vote on before the end of the day. So there we have it. And Bubble This says, happy birthday, Captain, as well. Thank you very much. Dr. Richmond, awesome in bed, says, Swiss, happy birthday. I got you a present, an application form to join the For the Rich party. Well, thank you very much. I will consider it. I will certainly consider it. You know, as a politically homeless individual, maybe it could be for me. I'm probably not rich enough to join the For the Rich party, but I imagine that, you know, they're quite willing to try and win over some people who don't know what's good for them one way or another. Right then. What else is there for me to go on? I really just wanted to sort of blurt out a bunch about Mandelson just to have nailed that down and go, yes, guys, you know, I'm looking at it. It's interesting. Isn't it a bad time for Starmer with all of this? And God knows what else may end up coming out. You know, we've had a bunch of revelations with the release of a bunch of Epstein files as well, and you know, this isn't even me mentioning the other names that have been cropping up in it, the Elon Musks, the Richard Bransons, the Bill Gates, all of which have not been formally prosecuted for any wrongdoing. So I'm not saying that they're criminals who have done anything wrong. I'm just saying, isn't it interesting what the Epstein files has to say about things that they've said and done allegedly? But anyway. I think I will leave it there for the time being, guys. I just wanted to come say hello to you, and certainly if we have any big developments here, if anyone makes a move against Starmer or he does go anytime soon, then I will be back to you know, remain abreast of it, because I can't stay away from the really big things happening. I've also been asked in a comment recently, will I be covering the by-election at the end of the month? I didn't have enough time to book the Friday off work for it. So whether or not I'm going to stay up on the night and do the results for it remains to be seen. It'll probably depend how I'm feeling on the day and how resilient I think I'll feel for work the next day if I do stay up all night. But at the very least, I will be covering it. I will come back to you guys with the results once it's happened anyway. But at the moment, I'm speculating it's going to be a reform win taken from Labour. That's what I'm going with for the time being. All right then, folks, that's it for the time being. Catch you all later on. Have a good day. Ta-ta.